I don't know what song's gonna play. I just know there's always gonna be a song. We got the vibes going high. Everybody, welcome to another episode of ThumbstopLive. Y'all, I am excited for this one. So as everybody knows who's tuned in before, Thumbstop Live is literally live Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. ET to 1 p.m. ET, and we are streaming across a bunch of different platforms that you know and love. So we're across X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube Live. So check us out across the board. And if you're interested in seeing some future episodes with us, of course, what I always like to call out is follow us, especially on X. That's where the clips are going. That's where the recordings are going. We got you covered at Thumbstop Live, y'all. At Thumbstop Live. Ready? Let's go! We got this. We're in for a show. So for today's stream, we got a couple people that I deeply respect joining us one after the other here. So the first person that we have up here is Sanjay from Replo. This guy is a dog. He's a killer. He's going to teach us all the tricks as it relates to the B2B game. It's going to be a fun conversation, y'all. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome my dog, Sanjay, to the stage.
Let's go. Let's go, baby. We're on. We're streaming. They said we couldn't do it. We're doing it.
They don't want us to stream. They don't want us to stream.
They want us to stream, bro. How are you, bro? I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here, man. You've been on a trek at this point. So you made this happen out of the goodness in your heart while you're driving a U-Haul, right? You're U-Hauling that thing.
Dude, U-Haul's parked around the corner right now, 20-footer. These Chicago streets are tight. So, I've been stressing, but I'm off. Like, I'm stimmed up. I'm ready to rock, though.
The utmost respect for you on that side. Man, it's been a minute. I feel like we've known each other for a couple years now coming up on this point. So, I'm happy we get to put something like this together.
Yeah, dude. Dude, I know, I think the first thing we ever did together was 2 years ago. And it was with Connor from HexClad. We did that with the funnel breakdown with Connor from HexClad. So that was 2 years ago. And I remember, I think I came from the airport and got to the event in time last time. So we're just repeating history here today.
Always on the move.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. That was so cool too. Cause Connor at that point, I don't think they had started the Marketing Operators podcast or any of their stuff. So we're catching them before. So it's just a cool experience for us all to get together.
And we did it first, baby.
Facts. It's great. Facts. Oh man. Sanjay, for anyone who's tuning in and for anyone who's going to be joining us on the recording after the fact, if they don't already know, would love the quick tell me about yourself. What's your journey been? What are you most well known for? Honestly, anything you're willing to share, and we'll take it from there, man.
Dude, I'll give you the whole game, but I'll give you the abridged version. We'll start what I do now, and we'll go backwards. So right now, I run growth at Replo. If you don't know about Replo, it's landing pages, funnels, design, drag and drop builder. Currently for Shopify, more coming soon. But if you're trying to juice every bit of traffic that you're getting, trying to convert as much people, that's the tool you need to use. And I've been working at Replo for 2.5 years. I was running an agency before, so I had performance marketing, retention. I was building landing pages, and I got on a call to evaluate the software, and I started spitballing some ideas, and the team was like, "Yo, you want to just come build this with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" So I shut down my agency. I literally Jonah Hill, Wolf of Wall Street, quit my job. Essentially sold my company to go work at Replo. That's how much I believe in the mission, what we're building, the product, the team. And then zooming even further back, I've done every single job in e-commerce. I've been the bookkeeper. We've made product. I ran a facility in Dallas, Texas, 8,500 square feet where we're making product. We made soap by hand every single day, made thousands of bars, shipped them internationally, scaled that business, basically built a $150 million business in 14 months. Selling soap during COVID was a pretty, it wasn't rocket science, but we did some really, really clever stuff. 200 stores in a year, sold 1,200 locations. So done the franchising thing, done the brick and mortar stuff, every job possible in e-com. And now I'm just slinging landing pages. I'm trying to improve people's conversions. I'm trying to make people happy. I'm driving U-Haul trucks. Sometimes you got to roadman a little bit, but that's what's up, bro.
I love it, man. It's absolutely incredible. And as you know, the energy is always infectious. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I think one of the things I'm curious about is I've talked to a lot of people along their journey who have gone from an individual contributor style role and then said you know what, screw it. I'm going to do my own thing and make this thing work. For you, it sounds like a little bit of the opposite at this point. Like you were doing your own
Yeah.
thing, running your agency in different businesses, decided to start go work for another company. Like, walk us through that journey and your decision making process.
Yeah. I think that the first thing that I'll say is like the role that I have now, I still get to do a lot of IC work. I still get to go like thankfully there's a structure around me to make the chaos of IC work like actually productive and like, you know, revenue generating. It's revenue accretive. But I still get to do a lot of IC work, which I think is like, well, I'm kind of a hybrid, but the most critical thing for me, like I remember it was December 2022, and I was like looking at like they you know, I got this email like, hey, do you want to come do this? And I sat there and I was like, okay, I could probably on a cash basis in the next, you know, 36 months make more just doing my thing, just like upfront. But like at the end of 36 months, what could possibly happen? Like what's like the inflection point? Can I like, is this my Figma essentially? And that was the bet I took. I always wanted to break into tech. I had like a little bit of an experience in 2018, 2019 working in an e-commerce tech startup, but it was in Arkansas. So e-commerce tech startup, Arkansas doesn't gel. We raised like $8 million and that company is no longer around, but I learned a ton, cut my teeth, and like one of my mentors, John Max Bowling, we got to tag him. He's the GOAT. He was actually checking up on me at like midnight when I was driving. He's like, you're still alive. And I'm like, yes, I am. But you know, he taught me media buying, so it kind of put me on. But I really wanted to like break into tech. And again, like having done just about every single job in e-com, like this is like the white whale. And a lot of it, dude, was like, I just wanted to emotionally prove to myself that I had the sauce. And I think I've done that. I think January, February of this year was like the first time where I like kind of lifted my head and I was like, you know, I'm actually like not bad at this. So, and then the cool thing is since that's happened, I've been able to just like, for me, I feel like I'm like, I hit my stride and I'm like starting to like really run, which is funny. Like, you know, maybe you've known me for years and it's whatever, but for me, I feel like I'm just starting to get known and I want to build this momentum and keep it going, man.
Oh man, I love it. There's so many good things in there because like something that I resonate with quite a bit is like, hey, there's an entrepreneurship spirit that exists and I still get to live that in my day to day. I have so much autonomy. I can try whatever I want so I can live that truth, but then like it's not super bureaucratic to the point where it slows me down. It actually helps me do what I want to do. And I feel the same thing at Motion, man. Like I definitely feel the same thing at Motion. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think you and I have like very similar roles. We're like we're like our respective figureheads of our respective companies. You know, like one of my favorite, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but I get asked all the time if I started Replo and if I'm the CEO. I started saying yes to both. I think I'm like an honorary founder at this point. And the actual founders are like, they told me to, you know, they're like, yeah, dude, just whatever. It's pretty chill, but I mean, I'm not either of those things. But I do feel a great sense of pride, and I think there's nobility in the work that you and I both do, and I hope that I'm like a good steward of the brand, the company, and the people that build it.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's also something to be said about like the 0 to 1 work to get stuff off of the ground. So when you are early, like you had described, there's not a lot of process systems or thoughts in place. So it's kind of like, how do you take that scrappy nature that already exists, systemize it to an extent, but most importantly, just like brute force some stuff, like get it out into the world. And I think that's where you and I have a lot of synergy, where it's just like, I love that, man. Nothing exists. Let me just run, like cook.
Yes.
Cook that
It's
thing
like
up.
it's like spaghetti thrown against the wall. You take some notes on a scratch pad, like my Apple notes are full. You're like, oh, this is working. Let me double down on this. Like for us, early it was like cold email. We were just like, we went from sending 1,000 a day to 4,000 a day to 20,000 a day. Like, you know, it's like all these sorts of different tests. I love this thing, and I'm kind of curious to hear about you, how you feel about this. But for me, I've gone from the 0 to 1, and then like getting to like the 1 to 10. In that 1 to 10 period, I get to like 1 to 5, but there's like a certain company size where I just like, I'm not optimized as a human being for like corporate politics. So I'm not successful in those places. And I know like my zone of genius is in like this area. I'm trying to work on that a little bit, but is that something like, have you ever experienced that? Like, do you feel like you can go into big companies and small companies? Are you better suited for one or the other?
Yeah, definitely suited for smaller companies. I started my career at like a Fortune 500 company. So it's like living that life. And as much as it was fun and there was success that started to come from it, it was like I had to live every single day in pain. So living in pain every day, and not the good pain, the ones that literally are like, oh God,
Yeah.
like, is this really what the rest of my life is going to be? Was not fun. And then for me now at a smaller company, I've had the privilege of being like, I think I was employee number 6 at Motion or something like that. And now we are 60 some people. So going through that stage of the 1 to 10, I have a general desire of like wanting to improve if that means how to manage a team, work with people, like it exists. And I'm down to figure that out. But I have the most fun when it's just like scrappy, get to run with it and
Yes.
figure things out. Like there's so much energy that's created at that stage that I can't replicate
Yeah.
anywhere else.
Dude, I hear you, man. That's what I'm trying to shape the rest of my life for.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
Yeah. And one thing that you talked about there, which is super interesting, you started D2C ecom, agency world, running ads, all that stuff, and then moved over to tech because you always had the desire. I'm wondering if you can speak to the people out in the world that might be living in the D2C ecom space or the agency side. Like, would you recommend that they make that jump to tech? And secondly, how do they do it?
Yeah. Okay. So grass is always greener. Um, that's the first thing. Like there are days when I look at my agency friends and like the amount of cash that they pull in, I'm like, the Lambo might be here already if I suck it out, like uh, maybe I gotta wait a little bit. Maybe I get a nicer Lambo later, but like could have had it already. So the grass is always greener. Um, I've always had a fascination with tech, and I think for me, it was one of those things that I always wanted to check off. Like I was coming up as a youth in like the peak tech bubble, right, of the last 10 years, and again, it was like something that I really wanted to do. I think if you really want to do it, you should. With all the AI tools that we have now, like you should be able to start build. If you're running an agency, you're running a DTC brand, like there's a lot of like stuff you can automate, a lot of stuff you can build, infrastructure you can build for yourself that you weren't able to build before. That's getting into tech in a way, right? But if you want to make a hard pivot, the thing that I will tell agency people and DTC people, obviously you have to learn a new language. Like the way that tech people think, the way they think about product, the way they think about scaling is very different. But we actually have a superpower. So if you're like deep in like direct response, no one in tech understands direct response. And one of the first things that I made, like the founders of Replo do, is read $100 million offers. And then, so that's like kind of a core part of our business now. I'm making all the engineers read it. And being able to really directly show how value is created and like provide it to customers, that's not like intrinsic in tech. You might think it is, but it's not. So you have a ton of superpowers in direct response, being able to capture and convert attention that the average tech person just doesn't have. So if you can lean into those things, and if you're good about like learning the language, learning how people build products, learning how people think about building companies, there's a lot of stuff that you need to upskill yourself in. I know, like for me, I don't know anything about building a tech product. I didn't when I started, and now I'm learning. But if you do the hard work, and you like leverage the fact that you have this like really great set of skills in direct response and like understanding attention and value, you're gonna be able to run. You're gonna be able to write your own ticket to just about anything.
I love that. I love that. And
E-commerce is
then
a hard business. Like e-com, whether you're an agency or a brand, like we're playing business on hard mode. You take your skills and go buy a plumbing company. Like go apply DTC stuff to plumbing, and you're gonna be the number one plumber in your city in like 18 months.
it's such a good call out. Like performance marketers at D2C ecom are playing on hard mode and like cutting their teeth in the hardest place possible. So you might not realize it, but it's like you are becoming a freaking weapon. So I
Yeah.
guess what I'm curious about is if we think about tech companies, not a lot of them have like the D2C magic that a performance marketer on the D2C side might have. So what would you recommend are like the top 3 things a B2B marketer should be doing right now?
The first thing is B2B. So B2B marketing is just a function of getting attention and converting attention. It's the same as B2C. It's like literally all business is attention, interest. Like it's just a funnel. I just made a video about funnels, so like I'm like kind of locked in on that like workflow. But basically, like your conversion mechanism, the product that you sell, It could be landing pages. It could be, being able to measure and analyze and like iterate on your ads. It could be Meta Ray-Ban glasses, like whatever it is, like B2C, B2B, like whatever the product is, there's some value you want to create. And if you're in B2B, you have to learn how to get attention. You have to like Gary Vee was talking about this in 2009. Like if you're not doing content, you are behind the eight ball. If you're not doing video content, which is the predominant like mechanic, it's the primary mechanism with which you can get the most amount of attention, the fastest and easiest way. Like if you're not doing that, jump on the horse right now. You're gonna get left behind. So figure out how to get attention. Maybe you don't fully want to like embrace video. There's still other channels like the AI SEO stuff is like still happening. Obviously, like just shit posting on Twitter helps too. Like that's, I mean, my revenue numbers have gone up since I started doing it. I'll tell you that, like very, very bluntly. But it's attention, and then making sure that it's very easy for people to convert. And then the last piece on the B2B side is be ruthless about time to value and communicating time to value. So how quickly, so obviously like get attention, have something of value. So that's the item 2. And the time to value piece is like, how quickly can you tell people that they're going to get the result, and how quickly can you actually deliver that result over and over and over again? If you figure those 3 pieces out, you can scale any B2B company. And I think like, I mean, you and I are doing this right now. Like this is going to get clipped. This is going to get syndicated. This live stream is being distributed out. We already have a little bit of an audience. We're like living the thing that I'm talking about right now, right? It's all around you. Do the stuff that the B2C guys are doing really well. Do the stuff like the Gen Z streamers are doing this. Like it's a function of attention. Figure out like, it's not rocket. Actually, the one thing is it's not rocket science, but attention, value, time to value.
Talk to him. There we go. I guess what I'm also curious about is like this sets the foundation for how you can think about it. When you're actually getting into the tactical and execution side of things, what do you start with? Do you start with the like channel and distribution, or do you start with the content?
I start with the offer actually. So I go a layer above that, and I think, what is the most exciting thing that I can deliver on a routine basis, that if I went to someone on the street that was relatively my ICP, that'd be like, yo, I'd be absolutely dumb to not, give you money for this right now, or give you an email, or give you an SMS, or whatever, right? Like, figure out the offer first, and then from there, figure out how you can stack distribution. I think people get locked in on like, I need to just do one channel, and the reality is you need to do every channel. Maybe you're only doing it at 60 to 80% of like, total performance for that channel, but because you're doing ads, even if it's retargeting, because you're doing short form content, because you're doing long form content, because you're doing email, because you're doing, whatever else you're doing, because you have cold email, for example, like you're doing like, blasting people in your ICP, like you're doing all of these things simultaneously, and you have great offers, and you're stacking offers. You're thinking about like what each segment might need different from another segment. If you're doing all of these things simultaneously, that is actually the key to success. But start with the offer, then figure out all the channels that you can afford to do or like have an interest in doing. So for me, for example, ads and cold email are like the 2 first mechanics, because I have a ton of experience and I do a ton of volume already in both of those things. For someone else, it might be like default organic, like short form content. Like if you're Oren Schaubel or Oren John, right?
Yeah.
He can turn on short form for anything, any industry, and it's gonna rip because he just knows that format really well. So figure out what works for you, but try to stack as many of those things as possible. Start with the offer, and then make sure you have like back end systems too. Like again, you come from performance marketing, you come from retention marketing. You should know you capture an email, nurture sequence, capture SMS, nurture sequence. Someone books a call with you, send them to a thank you page with all the content that they need, like all these little things, right? We do this for our clients, we do this for our customers all the time. Just do it for yourself.
That's huge, man. When you start with that offer, do you have a mental model or framework that you're following to craft the perfect offer?
It'd be cool if I said I did, but honestly, most of the time I've got like I've got a piece of paper, I've got this like scratch pad that I keep with me, and I just start. I think Hormozy talks about it in $100 million offers, but it's like write down all of the crazy shit that you could do. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can swear here, but I apologize.
Yeah. You're good.
but write down like all the crazy stuff that you could do. And then it's like, okay, just kind of cross out, I can't do this. I can't do this cheaply. Like, it's figuring out what the dream outcome is. Like for Replo customers, obviously they want to make more money. And then it's like, okay, they want to make more money. How? And like what time frame? And then what is the surface area that we can actually impact on? Obviously, it's like the landing page experience, the website conversion rate stuff. So you kind of add more context, but really just like, I think you need to allow yourself to dream. These like yellow legal pads are like $4 on Amazon. Get a pen, get a pencil, whatever your writing utensil is. I use felt tip pens. Just start spitballing like the craziest stuff, and then just pare it down to stuff you can actually do.
I love that, man.
No other science beyond that.
Yeah. This is so interesting because I'm like, as you're speaking through, I'm comparing and contrasting on how I view the world. And I think there's like the scrappy nature of, I was talking to someone else about this, but sometimes when you have expertise, it's hard to describe why you do what you do. You just do it. It's like, that's the right
100%.
thing, obviously.
Yes.
Right. So like, as you're talking through and walking through your process, I'm like, oh, what the hell do I do? Like, how does this make sense? And I think naturally and instinctually speaking, like attention is the name of the game. And I really do think of like leading with education. And then as you're talking, it's like, why? Why do I even do that? And it's like, okay, cool. Like people have their sweet spots, like mentioned ads, mentioned email, mentioned short form video. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I now feel like I have a mental model for why I do what I do. So super helpful, man. Super freaking helpful.
And then like even on the education piece, there's like different types of education, right? So like some people resonate really well with like, here's this like expansive house analytics breakdown of like all this data, right? That's like that like captures their attention. And other times the education is Zach Stuck posting his GWAG.
Word.
And it's like, oh, like this is like,
shout out to Zach.
I love that guy. I really do love that guy. But like, you know, you can actually frame both of those things, both those pieces of content as education in their own way. But it's like, it's going to resonate with different people. So within each piece, there's like a spectrum. And again, just more shots on goal, just do more stuff. It's my like current philosophy.
Huge. So you talked about, this is like from the B2B perspective and trying to get to the customer and like, what's the best offer? Now you've worked with so many different brands and you've been the brand owner yourself. What I am curious about is like, ultimately you're getting into the mind of the persona and what they'll care about. So now let's think as if you were that brand builder again, and if you were operating a D2C e-com brand, as you've talked to so many, what are the top 1 to 2 things where they're just leaving like money on the table that they should be able to do really easily?
Yeah. Okay. So most people, if they have product market fit, the product market fit excuses them from, in their perspective, like it prevents them from actually testing any sort of offer, independent of like % off, right? And that's the wrong mentality to have. Even if you're doing like $20 million a year and you're just sending traffic to your PDPs, and it's like, just buy my stuff now. Works for a lot of brands, not everybody though. If you're like banging your head against the wall and like, how do I get to like 40 million or 60 million or 100 million? Like, just more creative volume does help, but converting that traffic, you got to start doing CRO stuff. And it's not just like the little, CR, like, oh, make sure you have a trust badge, but like really big swing stuff, like offer testing. I think every business, whether you're just starting out or you're like, scaled, could be doing more of that. And it doesn't have to be terribly difficult. So that's like the first thing, I think, leaving money on the table. The second thing is, I don't think people audit their own funnels with the level of scrutiny that they should. And that is probably like, if you spent a week and maybe like $500 spending money on your own website, and you like meticulously documented each touch point. It's a function of time, and like, honestly, it's your own store. Like, it doesn't really cost you anything. But if you do that, you're going to start, and you go into it with a kind of an openness to seeing things that you might be missing. Like your brain, that you can tune it to what you need it to do. So you just prime yourself into saying, I need to find the holes that I can fill. If you do that exercise, run it over 2 weeks, maybe even 30 days, just because like, you should have sequences that post-purchase sequences, delivery sequences, like all these like small optimizations. Like, I think people don't take things to the 11th like level. They don't take it to the nth degree. They do 1, 2, 3 things. Like, oh, I have an abandoned cart flow. Cool. I use like, if you're doing over $5 million, $10 million a year, are you segmenting based on like AOV? Are you segmenting based on geo, like product purchase? Are you doing like day of delivery, like email retention stuff? On the ad side, like, and this is something that, you know, you and I have worked on and our respective tools kind of help with too, but like, are you doing like add to landing page matching the message? It doesn't have to be the headline is the same as the headline in the image, but it could be if you're selling to like you know, female retirees in Florida on your ad, maybe send them to a landing page that has people that look like them. You know, it's not rocket science, but it's like all the like little optimizations that if you stack up, and it takes a lot of time and energy to do, but that's like the hard work. So offer testing, and then take stuff to the like commit to the bit, like take stuff to the nth degree and do all the little tweaks that you know you need to do or could do. And if you don't know what to do, like audit your own stuff. Spend a month and money on your own thing, and like actually be a customer of your own product for once.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I'm so curious if you have any strong opinions on the marketing side for either B2B or D2C, like pick one or the other, that others might not always agree with.
Yeah, I don't think it's hard. I think, okay, I don't think it's complicated. It's hard work, but it's simple. Like, it's like pretty like, if you can't articulate the value that you provide, even if it's like long-winded, but if you can't articulate the value that you provide to another human being at all, it's like sales 101 for your business. And this is true for any, like, I would want like the janitors at our company, not that we have janitors, we try to pick up after ourselves, to be bought into the mission just as much as like the CEO. And I think everyone should be able to articulate the core vision. Like, if you can't articulate the vision, like, fix that first of all. But like, I don't think most of marketing in general is actually that difficult. It's that people get caught up in trying to find silver bullets, and they avoid doing the actual like the work. So the work is simple. It's just, you know, like from a strategic perspective, it's just a whole lot of hard work. Just do the stuff you've been avoiding. You have it written down. Like, just get it done. Get through your to-do list.
Lock in, baby. Let's get it.
And be a student of the game. Like, for me, like, I'm a big, like, we're building a funnel product, right? I'm a big ClickFunnels guy. I've Russell Brunson. I've read every book. I've watched most of the videos. I've bought a lot of their products. And because of that, 10, 15 years ago, I'm like attuned to seeing what other people are doing. Oh, True Classic is running this funnel. Oh, wow, Hollow Socks is running a near identical funnel. Like, start seeing these patterns. You have to be a student in the game. You just gotta love it.
Yeah.
But you can't fake that. And I'm lucky to do stuff that I love. But, yeah, I don't think marketing is hard, man. It's just a lot of work.
Speaking of funnels, something I'm curious about at Replo. Does Replo have a sales team, or is it all PLG?
It's mostly PLG. We've got one guy.
Nice.
He's in my office in Dallas. So whenever I'm at my office in Dallas, he sits right next to me. But yeah, we've got one salesperson.
Nice.
Most of it's, yeah, good.
I was gonna say, like, something you had mentioned earlier is like ads and email being your sweet spot, and I was wondering if you had an opinion on like an outbound approach.
Yeah, dude. I will be honest with you. I am probably the biggest reason why cold email in like the e-com space is so hard, because in like 2023, we were sending like 20,000 cold emails a day to like everybody in the Shopify universe, and like segmenting based on like their role and like the vertical. So your boy cooked it for everyone else. But I love outbound. I think the standard is much higher now, and the requirement is like you don't have to send 20,000 a day. If you can, the real thing is you have to make sure it's like there's a guy named Nick Abraham on Twitter, also lives in Dallas. Shout out Dallas.
Shout out Nick. Shout out Dallas. Shout out Nick.
Yeah. But he says the email that you send should be like, it shouldn't make sense to if you sent it to some other prospect, right? It should be so like one-to-one, and it's really hard to do. And I'm not going to say that I do. Like, we're not there yet. I'm actually trying to work towards being able to automate or like semi-automate a lot of this stuff. But the thing about outbound is like try to personalize it as much as possible. And it's not just like, hey, first name, or like, hey, like So like, being able to like see, like follow them on LinkedIn, being able to understand the problems of their business, knowing their type of business well enough to know what kind of problems they're actually going to face, and then referencing that stuff. And then it goes back to, and then once you do that, and you start to like build up some volume, it goes back to offers. One of the things that I always get told whenever I tell people, oh yeah, I send like a metric fuck ton of emails, is oh, don't you run out of like leads really quickly? And I say, just because you talk to them one time doesn't mean they're going to buy that first time, right? So let's say there's a total universe of 350,000 people that you could ever sell to. People rotate in and out, first of all. They change jobs. And then second of all, you're not going to buy them the first time. So the next month, come up with a new offer, a new angle, a new value add, a new like event for them to pull up to, a webinar, like whatever. Like find different mechanics to get them to like enter into your funnel, and don't stop just doing that one time. I think a lot of people are like, oh man, 45 days in, cold email, it's terrible, or outbound is like the worst thing I've ever done. I would never invest in this. You're just not going back to my point about like it's simple, but it's hard work. Like you're just not doing enough of it, and you're not doing it to the level of depth that you need to do it. So I love outbound. I started a lot of my career in outbound. I'll tell you one of my favorite stories. My first week in 2018 doing e-com SaaS outbound, I sent an email to the CEO of Blenders Eyewear, and it was like the second response I ever got. The first response I ever got was like a VP of e-commerce to me, and he didn't buy from us, but he was super sweet to me, and he gave me a ton of feedback. So I still remember that. But the second email I got back was the CEO of Blenders Eyewear, and he sent me a picture of like a garbage pile, like a dumpster. And I remember this to this day. And as much as I love the Blenders Eyewear products, I have a standing rule personally that I will never buy Blenders Eyewear just for that. But like, I've been doing this for a while, and back then I was doing like 70 custom videos a day. I was like, there was one, I don't remember exactly who it was, but I'd be like, raindrop, drop top, I really love your yada yada, like crop top. Hey, it's Sanjay from Engine. We do this, like this whole thing. We did personalized videos every single day. And in the cold email, say, hey, I made this video, custom video for you. It goes to a landing page, it has their name and company on the landing page and the email for like, take it to the nth degree. I've seen every cycle of it. I've done a lot of automated stuff. I still do a ton of automated stuff that isn't as personalized. You can get away with that in less sophisticated markets. Like, I started working with like a fish, just as a side thing, people that sell fish to restaurants. And I know that campaign's going to rip because no one else is doing it at the scale that I'm about to do it, and I don't have to personalize it. But in e-com, there's so much sophistication that's required because people like me have been absolutely blasting it for so long with agency offers, with SaaS offers, what have you. Yeah, I love outbound. Do it, commit to it. Like give it a full 12 months and take it to the extreme.
Is that David Protein where you're just like, we sell fish?
Pretty much, man. I wish it was David Protein. I don't know if you saw this, but I was like at the San Francisco office like in end of June, and I was in a meeting and I was like dozing off in the meeting. So sorry for the rest of the Replo team hearing this. But I was like, oh, I have this like funny idea for this meme, and it's like the Neo or like the Matrix like red pill blue pill thing. And if you don't know the story, the founder of David Protein also co-founded RX Bar, and then the other co-founder of RX Bar, founded Formals Trumbles. So inside of you, there are two wolves. It's either David Protein Bar or Formals Trumbles. And I posted that. And I was like, this is gonna like 4 likes, and it's like funny for me. And then the David Protein founder like commented on it. I was like, I don't get it. And someone explained it to him, and I was like, I feel like I've done a bad thing. I don't know if it's a good thing, but I got the attention. And we talked about how important attention is on this call. So that's all that matters here.
That's so funny, man. Oh my God. I freaking love it. What's so interesting to me is like you built up such a wide range of skills and experience that has uniquely positioned you to be in the spot. You know what I mean? But it's like we're talking at the point now where you described it, like you're hitting your stride, getting your confidence. What I am curious about, like, it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows along that journey. So talk to me about like a struggle that you would have had along the way and how you got through it.
A year ago, we were trying to figure out like where to take the product roadmap for Replo, and engineering velocity wasn't like nearly where we wanted it to be. We didn't really know exactly how to prioritize stuff. And one of the things that I realized was I was not communicating effectively to inflect the direction of the company roadmap and actually get like the buy-in that I needed from like really key people. Like, thankfully, the founders and I have always been really cool, and they've got me. But like, there are other people in a company, and we talked about like me going from an IC to a team role, and this is like a learning moment. I realized like, so I spent like a good chunk of 2024 just like moping around, like being like, oh, I suck, and like I'm really bad at this, and why don't they listen to me? And then I was like, I'm not putting in the work to figure out how to like effectively communicate to these people in a way that they understand. Like I talk about this in sales all the time. Like, you need to meet the prospect where they are and speak their language. You have to do that internally in your team. It's a selling role as much as it is like anything else. And so yeah, I spent most of last year just being a mopey little baby, and I think after I realized that it was my fault that I wasn't communicating effectively, that I wasn't like showing the value of like doing this versus that, and changing some parts of the team around it. Once I realized it was my fault and like I had to like upskill myself, things changed. I was able to, I think, impart better wisdom into the team. Like, I was able to teach people faster. I was able to get buy-in on stuff that I thought ought to be in the product and like ought to change about how we build the product. And that was like a really big like moment for me, because I remember when I was working at Buff City Soap in the soap company, I ran into the same issue. And I was, last year I was 28. When I was at Buff City Soap, I was 24, 25. So obviously there's a bit of like maturity that's happened since then. But I remember going through that same type of situation where I couldn't get buy-in, and I turned into a mopey baby, and I like had like a full-blown crash out. And like my tenure at that company was probably cut short because I did not take responsibility for communicating effectively and like learning how to get buy-in and playing the game a little bit. So not sunshine and roses, some maturity has happened. And then, I do have to thank the Replo team for having the patience with me to like, stick with me. Like, it's just like a two-way street, right? Like, I stuck with them, but like they stick with me as I'm trying to like get better. So, yeah, that was probably the biggest one, man. And it's something I still find myself like, if I start slipping into that, I gotta like, okay, reel myself out and reset.
I honestly think everybody struggles with this. Like, communication is the foundation to any relationship, not just business, but like your partner, your family, your friends, like whatever it might be there. So I'm wondering if you can share an example just to articulate how like you've matured in this way. So it's like, what is like the problem? How would you have communicated it, and how do you communicate it now?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see this. See if I can find a good example. Okay. I think the Replo product in its current iteration is hard to use for the majority of the market. It's primarily a design tool, and it allows you to iterate and build stuff. And obviously, people get a ton of value from it, and we're going to make sure that you keep getting value from it. But it's for the average person to pick up. There is a learning curve, and I've always thought we should reduce that learning curve. So for 2-3 years, I had this like crusade of like, we should make it easier. But that's all I would say. That's all I would say. I'd be like in a shouting match with somebody on the product team, be like, "You don't get it. Like, it's supposed to be easier, right?" And the difference is now, like, I will like, you essentially start qualifying things, right? So it needs to be easier, and then you show, here's an example of how it's hard for people. Here's why that difficulty like reduces my ability to sell, or my ability to market, or it reduces our customers' ability to extract value quickly from our product, and all these sorts of things, right? And then, so yeah, before it's like I'm complaining functionally, and now it's like, okay, I have a complaint that I have evidence on that has business implications, and then there's a solution layer as well, right? And this probably sounds like elementary stuff for people, but like I think it's very easy for us to like forget about doing a lot of this stuff. And now, like, even if it takes me a little while to articulate whether over like a Loom or in a Notion doc. We're a big Notion team at Replo. Like I wouldn't write anything down in the past. Again, that's kind of like relic of IT stuff. But like now, like I will make the effort to go try to translate the chaos into my brain into something that other people can start to process, at least, even if they don't like immediately get it. And that body of work I just didn't do in the past. So specifically like Replo, hard to use. Now like we're making material like changes to it. We've got a whole new thing coming in September that I think will be more accessible. Whether you're a brand new person selling on the internet, or if you're if you're selling $1 billion worth of sunglasses, I don't know, whatever you want to sell. But to get to that point where to get to the September that we're coming up to, me personally, I had to like get over myself really, and start telling people why I believe what I believe.
Huge, man. Huge. It's I think like communication is that one piece that I would love to talk about and everyone continuously talk about, because that example to me goes back to the same way I describe expertise. Like sometimes you just know, right? And like that's an example of like, I just feel it in my bones. But really what it is like, how do you find the words to say why I feel this in my bones? So all of that coming together makes so much sense. Sanjay, you've been so kind with your time. I only have one final question for you. I ask every guest the same question. If you don't have an immediate response, it's all good. Throw it to me. I can kick off first. I was curious, do you have a favorite quote? And if so, why is it your favorite quote?
So it's actually a whole poem. It's the Invictus poem. But I'll give you the last bit of it. No matter how straight the gate, no charge of punishment to scroll, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This is the Invictus poem is what Nelson Mandela had in his prison cell. And I saw that like movie with Matt Damon, where it's like the rugby movie. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the greatest thing ever. But I think in every inflection point in my life, the change that happened was I have to take responsibility for what's happening. And that I think like everything bad happens is my fault. Everything good happens, I can take some ownership in. And I think it's really powerful. And I think it's like just a reminder, like I've spent a lot of time in my life like living in like a victim mentality and like trying to break out of that. That poem, the whole poem, it's William Ernst Henley, I believe is the guy. And if we had more time, I'd probably try to recite the whole thing. But that is probably my favorite like last bit. And then I'm a big Kobe guy. So I've got like a little Kobe tattoo. This specific reference is actually from the Kobe 7 launch ad series that had like Aziz Ansari and like Kanye and everything. And it's like dominate early, dominate late. Like you find success in success. Like every time you get to the top of the mountain, there's like more to do. And it's like that, hardcore mountain mentality. So Invictus poem, and then any bit of Kobe lore. That's my jam.
I love it. Anyone who throws like an athlete into the mix always makes you happy. Sanjay, you're the best, man. Any final words you want to leave with the audience today?
Thank you for listening. I hope that if anything, if you didn't know me before, you know me now, and if you did know me before, you know me a little bit better. So Evan, I really do appreciate you giving me this platform. I'm so glad that someone's finally live streaming in our space. This is like, I've been talking about this for like 2 years and I was too lazy to do it. And Evan chose to do the hard thing, the simple thing with the hard thing. And I'm really proud of you, dude. I love this format. I'm really, really grateful for what you're building. And I'm so grateful to call you a partner. So
appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Okay, get back to the drive. Get the focus on. You got this.
I'm gonna go move a couch up some stairs. So
I love it, man. Okay, we'll catch up again. We got to run it back. Appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate it. All
right. Oh man, everybody. Sanjay. This is my guy, man. This is my guy. This was such an interesting look behind the curtain of somebody who has experience across the board. When I say across the board, I of course mean the D2C e-com space that we all operate within. Of course, then mean the agency side and then the tech side of things. So it's not typical to get a perspective from all sides in our industry. So a lot of things resonated with what he was talking about. Like on the marketing front, it's like, how do we make sure that we get attention and then lean into your strengths? So his strengths happen to be on the email side and the ad side. He mentioned Oren John. So Oren's killing it. Oren's making short form content that'll pop no matter what, but lean into those things. And I think just as a professional and as a human, something that was really awesome that he had mentioned in there was just like the maturity and growth you get. It doesn't just reflect in how you feel, but it's also reflected in how you communicate. Communication is the foundational layer for how people can interact with each other to ensure you're most successful. So he found a way to make that super work for him. I think for me, the way that I think about communication a lot of the time is just about like what altitude you tend to operate at. So you could be in an IC tactical mode. What creative do I make? How should I creative test this? How do I run my ads? You then might pop up to a managerial level. What should my team care about? How do they interact with other teams and play nicely? And then you might pop up to the org level. What does the entire org ultimately care about? I think being able to navigate those 3 layers of communication sets you up for so much success because you can pop up and down when you need to. So how do we tie in the tactical advice that we might have in the ad account to why that actually matters to us in the org? And that's how you can make sure everyone moves quickly towards the things that everyone should care about. So that's what I always emphasize, the importance of communication. And I'm so happy that Sanjay brought that one up. But everybody, that was just our first guest. The second person we have here is a GOAT in the game. You all know him. I know you do. But for those of you who don't, I would love at this point in time to welcome my guy, Andrew Foxwell, to the stage.
Hey, on the stage. What's going on? Here we are. Wow, it's exciting. I'm good. How do I broadcast to my ex? Am I doing it?
It's a good question. I don't actually know how to confirm.
I hooked it up. Oh, it says live. So I guess I'm live on there.
Hey, let's go. So your audience is tuning in.
All right.
Here we are. How's your morning going?
We are. Good. Yeah, really good. Got out for a bike ride. The smoke has subsided in Wisconsin a little bit, so that's helpful. So it doesn't feel like you're smoking a pack of cigarettes. Always good to get the cardio in. So overall, yeah, good.
I love it. I am in a condo in Toronto. Sometimes we get the smoke. That definitely happens. Pollution is a thing, but they're redoing our roof right now. So there's just this smell of like pine tar, I think, that's continuously rolling through the building. So I was like, okay, let's block the door. Let's get an air purifier going. But am I slowly dying? Maybe that's happening.
Yeah. It's wild. The Canadian wildfires thing in the Midwest has been a real thing. And it's been continuous. And like my dad hasn't had his windows open, hasn't had clean air for like a week. He lives in northern Wisconsin. And, you know, that's really, really hard. And it's tough to see because he, you know, getting outside is like the one thing he has in the summer, I feel like, living in northern Wisconsin.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the sacking. I was in, I guess the last side story is like I went to Banff earlier, so a national park in Alberta in Canada. It's like beautiful, but one of the areas that everyone typically goes to is like completely burned down. So it's just like there's nothing to see anymore. So those wildfires are brutal. Affects everybody along the way. So it's super terrible. Yeah,
definitely.
Andrew, I'm excited to have you on. There's so many things that we can talk about, but for the audience who doesn't know you, they all should. Would love you can just give them the quick, tell me about yourself. What's your experience has been? What are you most well known for? Honestly, anything you're willing to share, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that you could say. I currently, personally, I have a daughter named Nora, who's 5. That's one of the most important things in my life right now is being a dad to her.
Shout out to Nora.
And I have my wife, Gracie, is also a business partner, Foxwell Digital. So we've had our agency, Foxwell Digital, for 12 years now. So yeah, pretty wild. Next month is 13 years, or no, next month is the 12. So yeah, really, really crazy. Of the journey that we've been on. I've been doing Facebook ads since they were invented, essentially. So I just turned 40, which is wild. And yeah, I mostly live in Santa Barbara, California, but we spend a little bit every summer in my home state of Wisconsin in Madison, which is where I am now in my house here. So we rent this house most of the rest of the time. So I'm excited to get back to Santa Barbara soon. It's going to happen, but no, we're good. We're good. That's about me. I mean, I can go into a whole bunch of stuff. I grew up on a farm in the country, etc. I used to work in the U.S. Congress. I worked on presidential campaigns. So I have a very colored background of a lot of different random stuff that has.
I feel like whenever we talk, you always season in a couple or pepper in a couple of those random facts. It's like, oh yeah, I used to work for the Congress and like this. I'm like, what in the hell? Like, where did that one come from? So it's so interesting.
Yeah, that was a wild experience, and a good experience as well. I was always interested in the political scene, and that experience, I think, being thrown in as a 23-year-old to have to try to explain like why your boss should vote one way or another, or this is why they voted one way or another, and this is like what this legislation does and what it's proposed, and it is pretty nuts. And someday I think eventually I get back into that. I don't think like running or anything, but I think helping people run and being in this political sphere is something I'd like to get back to eventually. But you kind of have to have you have to have no life and a lot of space, because it completely consumes everything that you do, and there's no balance. So you have to go through like years of balance, and then like maybe when Nora's in college, I'll do something again.
I love that. I love that. We'll yeah. As time goes on, it's like, and you live life, it's like, you know what? I'm enjoying Wisconsin in the summer. It's like, okay, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, exactly.
What I am curious about is like through these experiences, you had talked about how you literally have been running ads since the beginning. The agency's coming up on 12 years old too. How did you get started to even like open up Facebook and start running ads?
Yeah, the quick version is we had I had started volunteering on a campaign this guy was running for Congress, and I had a marketing company in college that I applied for a grant for and had gotten that grant. So I had this marketing company in college, and it was called Modica Marketing, modern marketing in Latin. And I had 3 business partners, and we essentially just pitched like campus and like small businesses around our college town with projects. And so there was social media was like new, and it had come up, and it was like, how are people capturing this, and how can you get attention on this and whatever. And so then I started working on this campaign after I graduated, and messing around, and just like literally messing around. I had no idea what I was doing, and got from there, he got elected, and I built his Twitter profile. I built his Facebook profile at that point, everything. And like in Congress, there was this group of us that were in the communications world across both parties that were like trying to figure out what are we going to do with social media. And so my original title was press, Andrew Foxwell press / new media. It was called New Media. And so I had launched ads on the right-hand side. We had done managed ad buys where you had to like email Facebook before that on the campaign, which is like experimentation essentially. And so from there, like I saw this big opportunity, and then a bunch of us got together and changed a rule in the House of Representatives where you could use taxpayer dollars to launch ads on Google or Facebook. And because until that point, you could only send out these like mail pieces that were designed and like were really glossy, big mail pieces. And so they had to go through a bipartisan language approval commission in the U.S. Congress called the Franking Commission. So we had to take screenshots of mock-ups of Facebook ads and then route them through the Franking Commission. And I realized like nobody's doing this. Like nobody knows how to do this. They just know that they need to do it. And so I went to a congressional vendor and said, I really hope to like build this in your business. And they were like, that's good. You need to learn our software. They had a CRM for Congress. So they had like essentially like the Klaviyo of constituent communication. It was bigger than that, but they had one of them. So eventually I built this business, and I had like, I don't know, 200 members of Congress that were in the House. The Senate didn't allow this. This is like way below the Senate. Like the Senate would never allow this. And they basically, I would be brought in, and then we would run the Facebook ads and then we would bill them for that. And so it was a lot of times like, click here to learn about, or like my page to learn about my position on the president's new tax law, or like, it was very vanilla. But I realized I would start answering questions on Quora back in the day, and I realized that this person reached out from this like firm in the Valley and said like, hey, there's a lot of opportunity here. And I got a job through Quora at this firm called PPC Associates. And that's how I got in. And then it was like, you know, they're like, oh yeah, like here's like my first client was GoPro. Like, because they had all these huge search contracts, and they were the biggest search firm in the Valley at that point. And this guy's name was David Rudnitsky, and his business partner was named Will Lynn, and they were like search experts, still are. There's still a search thing. If you're a search marketer, you know, it's called the Lynn Rudnitsky ratio, and like they created it. So they're true legends in this space. And David Rudnitsky now wrote a book about selling your agency. If you've never read that book and you have an agency, it's worth reading. But yeah, so I worked with them, and then I was like the original director of paid social, and we launched ads for everybody because they had a huge book. They had basically all of A16Z's book. So I ran Facebook ads for like Fitbit, Eventbrite, GoPro, Beats by Dre. Like I audited Beats by Dre before they got bought by Apple. Like I remember being on a call, and like somebody was pitching me like the idea of Houzz, you know, Houzz, like, which is now one of the largest home decorating sites in the world. And this guy's like the CEO of Houzz. He's like, this is what we're going to do. I was like, all right, man, like, here's how I designed the Facebook ad strategy. So that was really funny. And then like, I was there like a year, and then I just was like, I got to do this on my own. I know Gracie and I wanted to travel. And so I gave up a big job, and we drove around the US for 2 years. And that's when we started.
Oh my gosh. So many cool moments. Like literally being a part of like the entire.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
story.
that's incredible. Like honestly, I didn't realize the like trailblazer you were, especially on the political side. You know, like this stuff didn't exist necessarily, and you made sure to get it through. Like,
yeah. I mean, and like, to be honest, you know, I think mixed results on what it's done for democracy overall. Like, the idea that we all hoped was like, this was going to make constituent communication easier. This was going to make it like you to get that feedback faster. And I don't know, in the US Congress, like in the US political system, what has that done? I don't know. So I think there was benefits of it, but there's also hard parts of it too. And I think it's made like politics generally more reactive. Social media has, which, you know, to do the actual act of legislating is not a reactive thing. It's a long process because it should be. And so, you know, I have a lot of opinions about that, but at the time, like the idea was good. And the fact of the matter was like, hey, this is going to be a good thing. And a lot of people from all parties bought into that. So
I feel like it's a good reflection of like you being human first, like even with the introduction, like starting with the family, starting the agency, like being able to say like, we want to travel and like, we want to create our own life. And then the opinions on how it actually applies to the world.
Yeah, definitely. The world,
like, checks out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, you know, I think that's a huge thing to talk about. I think that, and people don't talk about it enough. You know, I just listened to the podcast everybody listened to with Taylor and Andrew talking about Taylor selling his business. And like, you know, one of the things he's talking about is like, what's your goal? What are you trying to do? And if the function of what I do now with the founders community so much is so much about helping people like with their agency owners. What's the goal? And that's very true. Like a lot of people feel that the goal is like, it's just more. And it's not a number, or it's not necessarily thought about. And so the more strategic you can be when it relates to that, the better off you're going to be. And that's a really good thing to have clarity around that. So I think that for me and for Gracie and I, you know, the business launching Foxwell Digital was always a lifestyle choice. Like the money, neither of us came from any money. Like her dad was a writer. He's still a writer. I mean, and it's not like they were poor. It's not like but like my parents were both teachers. Like we went on one vacation a year to Florida. So it wasn't like money was never the goal. The goal was like, if we can make a business that allows us to live our life, that's going to be that's a totally different story. And that's still what we build towards all the time, which is, you know, like we're doing something different than a lot of other people. And traditionally, the more that we've made decisions against, not for the money, but for the lifestyle in terms of, and look, you know, lifestyle business has a bad moniker to it as well. Like the Tim Ferriss, like 4-hour work week type thing, but that's not true. It's a point of like, I just also want a life. I don't want to wait till I'm 65 to retire. And so this as an idea has always been when we've led with that, we've made more money because, you know, I'm a firm believer that when you start to do and you position yourself into what you are uniquely positioned to do in the world, the customer can tell and you're going to sell better because it's real.
100%. And then speaking of the founders group, like
You know?
going back to how you mentioned, a lot of the times it's like, what's your goal? And it's typically described as want more and more and more. How do you coach them through that to get more like specificity and like articulate what they really want?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just sitting down and understanding, all right, what do you like to do when you're doing it? Where do you notice it in your body? How are you feeling it in your body when you are, you know, pushing this forward? What is it? Not only what does it feel like, but also when you're done doing it, do you feel satisfied with that? Do you feel happy with that? And I think a lot of people don't pay it. You're looking at it from a financial standpoint, which is, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You know, that's okay too. If the goal is to make a bunch of money, then the goal is to make a bunch of money. But you also, I don't believe you have to be miserable in that process of doing that. So I think it's like, you know, sort of looking at it and, okay, so what do you want to do? How are you assessing how you feel in your body after rewards? And, you know, a simple task that I've probably coached like 15 people since January. Okay. Last year, I probably coached 25 members. Like, I mean, coaching meaning that we had more than 3 meetings over a 6-month period. Okay. So they're like, hey, we really need to talk and like go this. And this happened. I mean, micro coaching all the time. Like I wake up every day. I was telling members like 30 DMs from members around the world. We're in 30 countries. So it's like people are asking me advice on everything from people ops to how do I make this scale better? You know, what can I do in terms of creative production? On and on and on. But anyway, and so a simple task that I do with a lot of folks right away is, okay, so just go through everything that you're doing for a week and go through the calendar at the end of the week or while you're doing it. It's easier while you're doing it. Just print it out and then just write 0 to 10, with 10 being I absolutely love this, what you thought of it. And so, you know, and anything basically that's lower than a 6 or a 5, I mean, depending on like how much time you have, you just figure out how you need to eliminate. Like you don't need to be doing that anymore. And that can be via, you know, a VA, that can be, or building a process to push that out. That could be hiring an employee. That could be automating some of that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. And my point is you're going through the calendar and then you're assessing like, this is what I like to do. This is what I don't like to do. And a lot of times you're able to really discover and find out, oh, okay. Yeah. You know, I don't like doing this. I need to stop doing this. And it's a simple exercise that gives you some clarity. So that's the first thing. And, you know, and then it's just like going through the design of, okay, like, what do you want? So now that you have this idea of like the task, like what do you want the day to be? What do you like, where do you feel you get energy? I've had a lot of agency owners are always stuck in this world of like selling and servicing you know, agency owners can be really good at sales, but you know, sales is like, you got to wake up every day and sell, and you can really crank that up if you do it well. But a lot of the reason that people's growth is stagnant as it relates to their agency is because they haven't dedicated the time and energy to making sales a priority, which is okay. You have a million things going on. So if you want that to be a priority and you want to be the one doing it, then you need to free up time in your calendar. Time just doesn't like appear. So
Huge.
Anyway,
are you
yeah, I'll stop. I could rant for a while.
No,
about
this
a whole bunch
stuff.
of
This is
pieces there.
I love getting to know this stuff about you. In all honesty, are you a meditator?
You know, I'm not a meditator, but it's something that I have plenty of friends that are starting to. This is one of these things that's like starts to come into your life, and more and more, I'm realizing that it's probably something that I should probably get into because there's more people that are becoming influential in my life. And that I was listening to the 10% Happier podcast with Dan Harris. Obviously, it's like a meditation podcast, of course. And he listened to this episode about manifestation with this guy who's this is like a brain surgeon at Stanford. Okay, so obviously he's smart. And he wrote this book about like, how do you manifest things? Well, the first line of the book, and it was funny because I have been saying this whole year, I've been like, hey, the universe will bring it to you if it's meant to. But the first line of this guy's book is the universe is bullshit. The universe doesn't fucking care about you. That's literally what it says. Okay. So that was like a huge thing. And he's like, and eventually he gets to saying that like the universe is you, like, you know, I guess a summation. And he talks a lot about the 2 books that changed my life are Essentialism and Atomic Habits. And, you know, he talks a lot about atomic habits, you know, small incremental actions over time. Obviously, they're, you know, kind of make the choice, like help you move in the direction you want to do, that are intentional choices. And that's something that certainly I've identified with, is to go in that regard. So in terms of meditation, I feel like it's
There's a lot of foundational principles.
something
Yeah,
I know.
because a lot of things you
Yeah.
describe. So I'm a meditator. Like that's the thing that keeps me grounded every single day. And it's literally like where do you feel it in your body? How are you feeling? Is there anxiety that you feel in your legs? Let it go. Like that's where it manifests. So I feel like a lot of the foundational principles
Yeah.
exist there. So I was so curious. And then the energy audit, or just like the happiness audit, I think everybody should do that. You know, like it's just like what. And when I'm approaching like an energy audit, I'm typically saying like, where am I at my peaks? Because those are the things I need to double into.
Yeah.
If I'm unhappy in general, I'm gonna have lows across the board. But it's like if I feel something that gets me out of that low, like, oh man, run with it. It's incredible. It's gonna take me to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, and it's I agree. It's very interesting how it manifests itself. I think you can do it a lot of different ways in terms of what you're looking at, but the baseline is I think that there's so many people in their career and in the day-to-day of their life professionally, but also, you know, personal life, but let's just talk about professionally. I think especially in the D2C space that there's fear. There is a lot of fear, and you live from a basis of fear. Okay. And I think it's okay because a lot of the fear is based in like the mindset of imposter syndrome. Like you don't know, there's always this, you know, place that you could get to that, you know, other people know about that you don't know about, and on and on and on and on. So it's based in fear. And what I'm trying to, I guess, go through is because of that, people believe that, you know, there's the sunk cost bias that you just like, you keep working on something and it's going to get better. But the reality is, one of the biggest things I tell people in coaching is, all right, you think you need to sit down and keep working on this, but in reality, what you need to do is create a minimum of 1 hour a day where you are doing nothing at your computer and your phone isn't with you. And that is obviously incredibly counterintuitive because you think that you're like going to be screwed. But if you do that, you obviously are going to be thinking about your business or the things that you should be doing. And because of that, this is the dog coming in, by the way. Here's a little live stream. This is the dog always busts in on calls. Winnie,
Winnie.
I know. But like, because you are going through, and now the dog will lose my train of thought. but I guess
the imposter
what I'm
syndrome,
trying to
the
get at
imposter syndrome.
is, yeah, what I'm trying to get at is you don't have to live from that imposter syndrome mindset. You can live from more of like the abundance mindset, that you're in control and that you just have to have an idea of where am I headed, and you're just taking small incremental actions.
I love that
over time. Hey, don't.
I love that. I was talking to Sanjay about this a little bit earlier, but it's just like I think the mental model that helps me out is like, am I thinking like an individual contributor on a specific task? Am I thinking about a team in this case, or am I thinking at the highest level possible? And it's like if I can jump between the layers and know, because like everyone typically gets up in like what in the like the individual task, like what you need to do, but then being able to like extrapolate to different altitudes like makes it a little bit easier. So giving yourself the space to do that is super important. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're all caught in this in a
Matrix
negative loop a lot of the times, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of, you're in that negative loop and you're in this idea that like, oh, I should be doing something differently. I should be doing something better. And certainly that's true. There's always ways that we can improve on what we're doing. And there's always ways that we can improve on the way that we're thinking. However, modern life makes us feel that we need to speed up. But the reality is that slowing down is the competitive advantage. And I think one of the reasons that we've been able to build a community the way that we have is because we offer people a slice of that pie of a headspace that they don't have. I get questions all the time. How would you think about this? Well, I know they're just firing off a thing when they're walking to the bathroom in between meetings, asking me how I would think about it. I mean, that's fine. Like, you know, I understand that. I used to be that guy. And so okay, well, here's the pros, here's the cons, it's like, and I think that the more that you give yourself and create the space for free thinking, the better off you're going to be. And also, many times, the goal that you're headed towards, let's say it's better profitability, let's say it's more leads or whatever, you can't expect it to change by putting in like 10% effort on it. I think that that's also a big one. We get so spoiled on like ChatGPT and all this other stuff in terms of productivity that it's like, all right, look, we're going to launch this thing. It's going to be great. And it's like, okay, so like how much have you spent on this? It's like, and then by the way, I'm guilty of this as well. Okay. And it's like 3 hours. It's like, okay, well, 3 hours isn't going to like build something meaningful. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. It takes time. It's going to take small intentional actions every day towards the goal. And anyway, that's just something these are all things I think about. People are like, what have you been up to? I'm like, not much.
Thinking.
This is the kind of shit I think about all the time.
Yeah. 100%. It's
yeah.
Your experience has been so interesting, right? Because it's like you've had the agency for 12 years now. When did you found the founders group or start the founders group?
Yeah, we started the founders group in 4 years ago in June.
Okay.
So yeah, so how all that went, essentially, it's not a great story really, is we had Nora's first year of her life was really challenging, and she had a lot of health issues, and it was in the pandemic. So she was born, and 3 weeks later we were in lockdown. Okay. I had to shift into full-time parenting mode with Gracie, and it was really traumatic. And so we came out of that experience, and I felt really alone in like the work that we were doing, because it was all this stuff happening with like the changes on iOS 14 and everything else. And so I was in all these small sub communities, and it was like really helpful because people were honestly talking to each other, versus like on X, it was, a different story. Right. And so we built, I started it off with, a couple of OGs really. And I was like, hey, like, I think we're going to build this. And Gracie's like, and I was like, and she's like, okay, what's your end goal? I'm like, I don't really know yet, but I want to try doing this. And I remember we sent it to 22 people. So people are always like, how are course sales? By the way, I'm not a course millionaire for record. Okay. I drive a used Volvo. Okay. So anyway, but not a Lambo. So we had this list of people that had bought 2 or more courses, and I sent it was 22 people, and I sent it to them, and 21 of those people joined the community, and I was like, okay, interesting. There's something here, and from there, just I became obsessed with quality. That's been my entire mantra of the community is what are a year in, essentially, I studied the Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Hublot. I studied Cartier, Van Cleef & Arpels, like the best luxury brands in the world. What do they do when it comes to customer service, and how do they take care of people? And I just became deeply obsessed with that. And that's really what we've made. That's how we've run the community. Like Shane and Courtney, who work with me, like they're authorized to spend up to $500 on any member for anything at any time. It's like, I don't know if you know about the Ritz-Carlton promise, but it's like, whatever, $2,000 or whatever, like Ritz-Carlton employees, like same type of thing. Like, a member's dog passes away, like we're sending him flowers in a card. Like, it's that kind of stuff where we're like, we're a community about meta ads, and that's how people find us. But then they come and then they stay. And we have an 88 net promoter score because like it's more than that.
I love that.
And, we care really more than nobody cares like we do. And that's the point. And it's like more about your life. So, we just had this meetup, and we're sitting there chatting with everyone. I'm sitting there at like lunch with some guys. I went swimming in Lake Michigan and in Wisconsin with a guy from Phoenix. And like, we're like floating in Lake Michigan talking about, the challenges he's had with his like brother-in-law, I'm like, yeah. Cause he's like, I'm like, what are your barriers to growth? And he's like, it's really been hard personally. And like, and that's like, it's like it's the sub level stuff.
100%. I love that so much. And I love your approach to customer service on that one. I guess you personally now, with the intention that you operate at, what's become your favorite thing about the community?
I mean, the favorite thing is that, I mean, so I would say personally, my favorite thing is that I know and I feel confident that this is what I'm meant to do in my life right now. So it's totally whatever that phrase is of EK guy, where it helps people, it makes money. Like it's, I've always been a connector. I've always been somebody that's brought people together. And I did a lot of work and still do a lot of work in Nora's early life in self-discovery and development that was really led by Gracie to learn and continue to figure out who I really am and what I really need. And because of that, now I can show up for these people in the same way. And I'm like an extrovert, clearly. I've always been a people pleaser. And I, about a year into the founders membership, realized that it was only going to work if I was the same person everywhere. And that's not always been the case. I've always prided myself on being able to go into a group of people and be able to be fine with it. And now I'm the same everywhere. And that coincides with the growth of it. So I think that the thing personally that I get the most fulfillment out of is that I get to be me and I don't have to shift who I am. And I get to just do things the way that I believe are the right way. So that's the biggest thing. And doing it with my partner in life is also a great honor and joy, right? Because she's totally opposite than me. Right. She multiple times a week, sits and listens to an audiobook on her headphones or reads quietly. And I literally can't sit down. So, yesterday I laid on the couch for 20 minutes. And I was like, whoa, this is sweet. This is nice. It's just not who I am. I have a friend, a lot of my friends call me a hummingbird. That's who I am. I'm buzzing around. Right. And so I get to be totally who I am, which I love. I think the thing that outwardly in the world that I love about building the founders community is that we are helping hundreds of people every day build a better business, build better processes, build a better life, and make more money, have more time, or both, or all those things. And that is impactful because they're learning stuff that they wouldn't. They are getting access to things that they wouldn't, and that's awesome. I mean, it makes, and sometimes it's small little stuff, but other times it's wow, that's really huge. My employees are more competent. They have a place to go. They're more resourced, et cetera, et cetera.
So when you started this and you were asked, Gracie asked you, it's hey, what's your goal with this? You're I'm not sure, but it's the right thing. And then now how you describe what's most impactful for you and then the community out there. Along this journey in the past 4.5 years, like you described, was there something that was quite surprisingly amazing to you that started naturally happening, whether it was self-discovery, it was amongst the group? Did anything like that happen?
I mean, there's been a ton of these, a ton of very surprising pieces of it. The ones that are top of mind are, the amount that humans crave for connection is one, right? That's surprising that we all, especially, we sit at home and, we ultimately just want to connect with other people and learn from what they're doing. That's one. I think another one is how generous if you lead with generosity and you take care of people, people will be so generous with their time. And the founders membership we've made that it's not about us. A lot of these other communities are about a person, and I'm in there and I'm responding, of course, but it's not about me. It's about, multiple people. I pay 30 people a month, 30 members in the community to be contributing on different topics because I want them to know that I value them, of course. And I mean, sometimes I can just say I value you, but also money helps. And so that's been a huge learning as well. I think that, that's another big one. The in-person meetups continue to surprise me. People love to be able to be in together.
Only
in person.
Hear good things about those. I only hear good things about those.
Yeah, we just had a meetup and literally every person rated it, exceeded expectations. And it was in a rural part of Wisconsin. And I was very nervous about it because it was at this famous golf course. And I was like, man, I don't know, bring all these people to Sheboygan. Like, that's not what I should do.
Shout out to Sheboygan.
But like everybody loved it because it was about the people. It didn't matter. And so like that's surprising. I think it's surprising, you know, how, I mean, we've had meetups in New Zealand. We've had meetups in Switzerland. We've had meetups in Amsterdam. We've had meetups in Santa Barbara. We've had meetups in, you know, I mean, name a place, right? Florida, there was a meetup, like, and literally it's always like this, everybody's sharing the same challenges pretty much. Like we all think that these things are so ours, but they're not. Like that's what makes it so beautiful, is like it validates that you're not the only person that's ever had this challenge. So that's surprising. Like you get together and you're sort of like, ooh, what if, you know, I think a lot of people, I've had people in my life say like, how do you prepare for all the questions that they're asking you? And I'm like, well, like 80% of them we've heard before. And like the other 20%, I literally just know I don't know. And then I just be like, well, you know what? I don't know, but I can find an answer for you or whatever. And that's another big learning. As I get older, of course, I've been talking about this a lot online, but like I know the older I get, the less I know. It's great.
Fantastic.
It's like, I love that. I mean, because I was 25. I thought I knew everything. I mean, seriously, I was just with some 25-year-olds. They're great. They're like so confident. The meetup, you know, and they're total hustlers. I'm like, it's awesome, you know. But now I'm 40. I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Here's, you know, and I have informed opinion, but like living with that curiosity has been incredibly beneficial.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that ground me into the same approach. It's like a beginner's mindset, you know, and like the stories that help support that. Like I think there was one of these like stories I had heard through somebody, but it's the idea of two people are talking. One of them is an old wise person and the other is like a younger gentleman or along the way. And then they're having tea. So the older gentleman starts pouring tea. And then the young kid just talking. All of a sudden the tea starts to just completely overflow. And the kid is like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, what are you doing? And then the older wise person literally says, oh, sorry. Like I didn't know if there's any more. It sounds like there's no more space for any more information in your world. So I'm just like showing you visually what it looks like to just cram so much information in to your brain. So there's so many, I probably butchered it a little bit, but there's so many stories like that along the way that help ground and like just remind you that there's unlimited answers that we don't know at this point, essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love that. You know,
one of the other things that I'm thinking about through this is like, so within the community, we've spent a lot of time talking about the community, but this is like actually fascinating to me. I guess for yourself, you talked about hanging out with 25-year-olds and the energy that they bring. If you look back and you were to speak to one of those 25-year-olds or like your younger self along the way, there's so many thoughts and moments of evolution that happen. Is there any like words of advice that you give yourself or a younger person to get through those hard moments?
I mean, one is talk less. You know, that's one. Like I really wasn't, still a work in progress. Like I really want to be a better listener. I think it's a big one. That's one. You know, I would say that another one is probably like take time to like kind of what we talked about before, like take time to really listen to what you want to do, because your gut is going to be the most impactful thing. And talk to even more people than I did. Like I was always told to like talk to mentors or, you know, ask people questions, but I always wish I would have asked more people more questions, you know, like that's a huge leg up that anybody at any age can have, people that have been there before you. So I wish I would have learned that a bit earlier. And also I wish somebody would have been like, hey buddy, you're 25, just BT dubs. You don't know anything. Like you really don't know that much. I know you think you do, which is awesome. I'm proud of you. but you need to just sort of turn down that piece of it. And also, like, I've only in the last like 5 years have I like learned about sort of the ego side of it, right? And like ego just it's crazy, especially being a white male, frankly. Like you get rewarded with that. And I think that having an understanding of where that comes into play and how that can really hurt your business or anything is really powerful. And having a relationship with that's really powerful. So I wish somebody would have explained that to me earlier.
Super powerful. It all starts with just like from what I'm hearing, it's just like being able to have the self-awareness to identify and label. And then if you don't, it's just like, can anyone help with that process? So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the self-awareness piece that could get blocked by ego is such an interesting one. Yeah. Awesome, man.
That's good. That's good that I made you speechless.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
that's good because like I feel we all deal with it, and it's like not. And it's like also you can't be egoless, you know. Like, but this is a thing that I see. I mean, I can't like. Let me give you an example. I had this guy that came into this meetup last week, and clearly incredibly grounded guy, runs a business. I think they have 10 employees, doing well. Runs an agency, and he came in there and he was like, literally to every person he met, he told him what he was up to. And then he's like, yeah, I don't know. So what are you guys doing? And tell me more about that. And tell me more. And all he did was ask questions. And he literally brought no ego to it, even though he's running like whatever. I forget what the top line numbers is, but it's like it's like a $6 million like agency or whatever, or whatever, something in that range. He's successful and he's got great margins and he's running it really well. But he came into this with no ego, and it was like crazy how powerful that was, right? And I think the founders community, we're aware of that more, and I think members are aware of that more. But it's something that is such a huge part of our space. I think that in the D2C marketing space, there is a lot of it because a lot of the marketing comes from being like, well, I know better. And so it's just interesting, and it's important to be aware of it, and it can help you make better business decisions if you're aware of it in your relationship with your ego.
Basically what's coming to mind for me is just like obviously self-awareness within myself, of course, is the first step. And then it's like with others, how do you scale this? All right. Because there's like the coaching through kind of tying our conversation all together to where you started with like, what are you typically coaching people on? I think it's also like, once you've hit that point, how do you, I don't know. Honestly, that's probably an ego piece too, because it's like it's not your role to help other people figure that out. Like it's almost their own journey unless they ask and need assistance along the way. Kind of going back to my foundations of like meditation and what that tells me. Yeah, so interesting. So interesting.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because well, I'll just give you an example. I'll just give you an example on a business sense in our business, right? Like this discovery of this working on all these things we're talking about, time management, where do you feel it, meditation, like somatic thinking, going through and just life designing, like, I want an hour to do this, free thinking, all this kind of stuff, like these. So all of these pieces, translating them into where we are in business today. What I have done is when we launched the founders community, we only did two things. Okay. We had an agency and that was it. And we had some courses that sold like hundreds of dollars a year. That was it. We didn't have anything. Okay. And so with this, okay, what we've done is as we've gone down this path, I look at all these opportunities that we have in terms of business. Everybody has different opportunities that you can go with different revenue streams. And I look at them and say, like, can I meet that with the way that it feels with true intention? And an example of this is recruiting. It's something I'm already naturally doing. It's something that I like to do. It feels good when I make connections. It feels good when I get a person hired in a job or when I help a friend hire for a job. And last year in 24, I made 130 grand recruiting. I say the number, not from an ego standpoint, but from the point of that, this is what happens when I was listening to myself. And listening to what truly motivated me and what truly lit me up, I wouldn't have thought about doing that. And I started originally, we all know Rahul Asar, who is a total legend.
I'm having him on. I'm having him on next week. Yeah.
Oh, he is. Okay, great. So Rahul's amazing. So Rahul, I started because we were in New Zealand together. And I was like, we need to start something together. So we started this thing called the D2C talent pool. And it was going to be like bringing in all these people and putting it together. And we're going through this, and like after like 3 months, I was like, this isn't it. This isn't right. Like it wasn't, and we knew, and it was like, okay, cool, right? And that allowed me to build onto this. So now, like I was telling somebody the other day, we have 7 revenue streams for our business now because we've diversified into, which is smart generally speaking, and that's something I've tried to build out. But like I've tried to make sure that we went from 2 to 7 in 4 years. To make sure that we have all these different things that are leading in on things that people need that also feel good to what's true to us. And we eliminated one. We don't sell courses really anymore. Courses are all just included in the founders community. So we essentially added 6 new products in 4 years or new revenue streams. And so that's another thing. And this goes to another piece of my brain that I'm just bringing back that I'll just say really briefly, which is that, one of the challenges everybody has is I need more leads in my business. I need more leads in my community, in my agency. What am I going to do? Right. And you have in your brain and in your business, the ability to create product lines and productize things that are services that you do that are unique. And you don't know that you do, but you do. And that's a huge opportunity for you to start to, especially if you look at what the marketplace wants and match this type of thinking to the marketplace. And here's an example, the Foxwell GPT, okay? Nobody's buying Foxwell courses because knew they were getting them in the community, okay? And so they're like, well, I'll just join the community. Fine, makes sense. So we have the Foxwell GPT that we built, and we put all the course material in it. We trained it over a month and a half, which, is not that long, but it's a lot if you're doing it daily, which we were. Teaching it about creative strategy, on and on and on and on. We'll give it to members for free. And it helps with SEO from, a Foxwell standpoint. And we're also going to sell it. And that the Foxwell GPT, it's not like it's a ton of money, but the Foxwell GPT is making like $3,000 recurring a month. Okay. And so my point, but this is from stuff that nobody was buying before. So all I did was repackage it into what the marketplace wanted. And so my point is that like you can do that. And a lot of us as agency owners can take this idea of the Lind-Rudnitsky ratio, like what I talked about, David Rudnitsky, all that was like a certain process you went through in search marketing. You could call it the Matthew Gattosi creative strategy optimization tool, process. You could call it, if you have that, that's a very sellable thing. And some people try to have tech that enables that. Certainly Motion does that. Tech enables that. And nobody can replicate what Motion has because the tech is so complex. But as in a services business, you can absolutely do this. And that's what's going to help bring it in. Because if you go out and say, I'm a growth partner with a fire emoji on your website, nobody's going to hire you because it looks the same as everybody fucking else. And so you can be creative with this, is my point, in a way that feels true to you, that feels good in your body. And guess what? You're going to sell more. So anyway, that's like another rant.
No. You know what's like, as I'm reflecting on our conversation, like one of the things that I'm drawing back to is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it's like, as you progress through, and it's like self-actualization is when you reach the top. Because even back to the conversation of you were chatting with someone from Phoenix and Lake Michigan. It's like, oh, I got stuff going on in like my personal life. Right? Because it's like in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's like love and belonging is one of those levels or something like that. I don't know it like the back of my hand, but it's like, if that's not met, you can't reach the level of self-actualization all the time. So I think what I'm hearing for like with you, and let me know if it resonates, it's just like a consistent search for, can I stay in that level? And if I pop down, it's okay though. It's okay. But then how do I get back? And that's what I'm kind of like taking away as a reminder for me as like a mental model to be able to say like in my day-to-day, like how can I be able to?
Yeah, I think that that's true. I think it's an assessment, right? And it's an awareness. It's just like anything else. It's just like, and by the way, I've been terrible at this for 95% of my life. Like literally, I would like lay on the floor and completely exhaust myself and be like, I don't feel good. And it's like, oh, okay. And so a lot of it is like, now it's like just a little noticing throughout the day, you know, it's like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm not feeling that good. I'm just gonna, or I'm not feeling a little tired, or that was a weird conversation. I had a weird conversation the other day with a close friend of mine. And I was like, that was weird. And it ended weird. It wasn't really about anything big. And so I just sent him a voice message and I was like, look, you know, I love you, first of all. And also the way that came out was weird. And I also wasn't aware of your feelings with it. And so thanks for making me aware. And he just texted back a heart emoji. And it's like, okay. You know, so it's like an awareness of just the overall piece of this, of how you feel in your work. And because I think here's where we really get into a Foxwell tangent. So I'll just bear with me to the people on the internet watching this. But I think that what happens in a lot of people's lives is that inertia kills their dreams, or lack of inertia kills their dreams. They're in one place and they are doing the same thing, and they get tied into job, work, family, and they're there, and they're not given the chance to assess their life on a more regular basis. And so they're stuck and they're unhappy, and they wonder why they're not performing at work, or why things aren't performing in their partnerships or whatever. And so we just have friends that they have 2 kids, beautiful home in Madison, and they literally left this morning for California. They're moving their whole life. They're moving her parents out there. And obviously there's a lot of pieces that have to happen to do this. Okay. It's this, you know, and they have the socioeconomic freedom to do this, et cetera, that they've worked for years to be able to do this. But my point is that like the assessment will bring you into a disruption in what you're doing in the day-to-day. And that's okay, because you're getting closer to what you want. And that might mean that you have to make some changes, and that's going to help you. And you're going to be more successful, I think. So that's
inertia is a good word though, like because it's like stagnation, I think, is the traditional like vocabulary someone would use. But like the inertia like encourages you to keep pushing forward. So for me, it's a really good word, because like to generate inertia doesn't just mean at work. It means in all aspects of your life. There's probably something that you can work on. Like this is a great conversation, because it's bringing up a lot of principles in my life that I'm thinking about right now, right? Like, you know how you talk about, hey, when you're doing something, how does that feel in your body, right? And like to over intellectualize it, where my head has been thinking recently is like, you know what? I have very poor neuromuscular connection. Like my wife, Erica, will ask me, it's like, hey, I'm like, I feel sick. I don't feel great. She's like, okay, like describe it. Like, how do you feel? And I go, I don't know. I just don't feel good. And it's just like, I'm not assessing well something in my body. But speaking to the inertia piece, it's like, regardless of work, like that's something that keeps me moving forward to strive for. Like it gives me a sense of purpose in that sense to work on and getting better. So I like the word inertia to change the just like, don't be stagnant. Like that's not a solution. That's just a label. Whereas like the inertia allows you to move forward. So that resonates quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is also really important. I think a lot of people are watching this, or maybe the tens of people watching this. I have no idea.
I think there are like 278 people right now.
Okay, so hello everybody. So I think as you're doing this, I think what's important is the assessment of how are you feeling, and that's going to be a process, because if you've never done it, you know it's weird. It feels really weird to do. But the thing is that this sounds hippy dippy, but the point is that like this actually will help you be more successful. Like, you know, like, and that's it. And I think that I can identify with, we are always here, and the communication and the speed of which we have to multitask is insane. It's unlike anything that's ever happened in the human race before, which is why our brains are really strange, and why like we feel overwhelmed a lot, because it's overwhelming. It is. It's just it's like you can't fit all of the things that are happening into the space that's given in here. So you have to take the time to make the space, and then assess how you're feeling. And by doing so, you will be more aligned. Just that action itself is like a huge part of it.
Can I ask you a question?
The retreat. So the Foxwell group that the Foxwell meetup that we're having in October, I just decided this morning on my bike ride that it's going to be called The Whole Self. And it's going to be all about like you as a person and like what are your agency. And we're obviously going to talk about meta ads and how to kill Q4, of course, obviously. But it's also going to be about the whole self.
I love that. I love that. I wanna. Can I ask you a question about passion? So I'm thinking to the younger, like 25-year-olds, like and the advice to give to them. And something I think the younger generation is told quite a bit is like work in your passion. And what I'm curious about is your take on like the definition of passion and like working in your passion.
Yeah, so the young people thing is really interesting. I taught a class last year to my alma mater, and like that they're all about this, right? Which I understand, and that's great. So there's two things to say. One is that yes, it's true, but you're 20 whatever, and a lot of times you just don't know. Like your literal brain hasn't fully developed, so you don't know. I was there. I thought I knew. I didn't know. But what you should do is you should essentially try to find something that you can tolerate enough that also puts you in the direction of what you're trying to go towards, that gives you a bunch of experience. That's what you're looking for in that period of your life as a younger person, is to be like, wow, I have a ton of experience, or like I was 20 whatever, and like obviously mine's kind of an extreme example, but I was working in Congress. Like that's insane. Like it's like getting a mini master's degree. And I think about all these people. Like there's a woman that just graduated, so she used to be our nanny. And then she graduated from UCSB with a degree in communications. And I connected her and taught her and gave her our courses on creative strategy. And then now she's hired by one of our members doing creative strategy for her. Okay. And doing like creative production for her, which is a super cool story. And I said, like, your whole goal over the next 2 years is to basically like do as much as possible in this business. Just take it on. And she's like, yeah, okay, sounds good. And like, she's loving it, and she's drinking from a fire hose, but that's what you should do, right? Like yes, you want a balanced passion, but you also, and you want to think about what that is. And if we didn't talk about the, like, what's practical, and we just talked about like, how do you discover your passion as a young person, you just go with what you enjoy doing when you're like, when you're doing it, being like, do I enjoy this at work? Like, am I, like, that's the baseline. The baseline is, am I having fun? And am I learning something new? Like, you also don't want to just be doing the same stuff over and over because you're 20, whatever, like keep trying new stuff, and the answer is, somebody says, do you like doing this? Your answer should be, I don't know. Like that's what you want to do, because it's like, that's going to be really fun. And so you want to have a really curious mind. And I think that will help drive your passion.
100%. 100%. Do you see the chat that's popping in?
Yeah, I do see one that says, how important are ethics when running a successful business in the D2C market?
That's from Jess Bachman.
I mean, like, I don't know if he's asking me this because I think that they're incredibly important. But
Detroit, is that the?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I could never figure out.
So like, I mean, so like, let's just talk about ethics for a minute, right? Like, basically, don't be a shitty person. Do what you say you're going to do. Try to set expectations properly. And when there are situations, everybody will find themselves in situations that feel like, man, that wasn't right, or that didn't sit right with me. Then talk about it and admit it, right? Like, that's a crazy thing that I think I did a whole talk for Hydra, the agency community. Maybe you know them. Yeah. Earlier this year about essentially like how to communicate with your clients more effectively, and how you can use anxiety as a way to surface this, and literally starting a call by saying, like, what are you nervous about? And then saying, like, here's what I'm nervous about. I'm nervous that you're not going to get me the creative that we need. And that's like a completely different conversation. And I think that ties into like kind of the ethical piece of it, of running that. But yeah, I mean, but there are a lot of people that are out there too, to make money quickly, that are out there to make money, that are trying to find something ethically. No Troll asks, because there are so many shady shortcuts, and AF is a straight shooter. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of shady shortcuts. And the reality is, look, like, some shortcuts are worth looking into, right? Like, there's that line from the new show with Owen Wilson, Stick. And he's like, what's wrong with shortcuts? Like, anybody ever heard of the Panama Canal? It's like, yeah, that's a good point. And it's like, so like, yes, there are some shortcuts that I think are worthy, but the reality is, and there are things that other people are going to do that seem like a good idea that are going to be more efficient or faster or whatever. But here's what you're never going to be hurt by when you're running a D2C and marketing like business or any business, but specifically in our space. Doing the right thing and being kind compounds over time. And even if it means that you're set back, people have asked me, like, why didn't you continue to grow an agency the way that you were like, you guys could have blown up an agency. And it's like, we didn't want to. And we've said the reasons we didn't want to, and we stuck to that. And you just stick to it over time. I have a emblem on the top of my bike that just says brick by brick. And obviously we all think about that. And it's just one little thing at a time. Just keep going, right? Some shortcuts you can explore, but if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. And don't be, then that, and your heart knows that. And some people are going to be like, man, you know what? I tried it. Okay, that's fine. If you want to make that decision, that's not for me.
Yeah.
If you want to go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. All good. I wish you well. This is another thing. Like, I used to have a lot of anger about certain people, like professionally, and be like, I hate that guy or that woman. She stinks. And now I'm like, I literally in the last like year and a half, 2 years too, have been like very much in this loving kindness of like, I don't know. I don't even know you. I literally wish you well. If you want to take a shortcut, go for it. You will be found out. You will. Like, people will know.
For sure.
And then you're not, okay.
Yeah.
People are going to know, and you're not going to get as much business.
Yeah.
And if you every day show up, and that's what that consistency thing I was talking about, like, so you're the same person across,
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Jess, you've done that really well in your business, right? Jess has been somebody that has shown up every day with his team and done great work. And they've said when they can solve things and when they can't solve things. I've had a lot of people that have been like, we talked to fire team and they said it's probably not a fit. And I'm like, that's amazing. Good. They should say that. Too many people are like, totally, you can do it. And you're like, no, you haven't done the self-discovery to know if you can do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You might not even be great at, and I'm not saying you'd be great at everything, but it's like, yeah. So it's small, it's compounded actions over time. When I knew Jess, he and his coworkers were like in another agency, and they were like, do you think we have legs to start a new thing? And I'm like, yes. It's just you showing up, you're consistent, you're the same person, you do good work, you say you're going to do it when you do it. And there's always going to be people that are out there like, you charge me for this and I shouldn't, it's like,
for sure.
Okay.
I'm a big hip hop fan. And one of the things that like stands out for me is like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's just like,
I love that you're a hip hop fan, by the way. I was literally just listening to, have you ever listened to this track, 93 Till Infinity?
I haven't. I don't think so.
Oh, dude, I'm pulling it up so that everybody on the stream can see it. It's a hit. It's a hit. Okay.
You got to put it on speaker. Yeah.
It's by Souls of Mischief. This song is such a banger. Okay. This is it right here.
Everybody tap in.
Okay. So here's the thing. Just wait till you hear this. This is when the beat drops.
Oh, I just didn't know the name of it. How have I not? Yeah.
I mean, this is a Friday tune. That's what I'm saying.
100%.
I listen to hip hop a lot. People always think it's funny. I grew up in a dairy farm, and I'm a huge hip hop fan. And it's because I stole my brother's Roots Come Alive album. And that's the first thing I listened to. And I was like, this is insane. Also, side note, first concert I ever went to, Talib Kweli.
Talib, shout out.
What? I remember driving from the farm to Minneapolis.
That's crazy.
I'm like in this crowd. I mean, obviously I grew up in a white community. I'm like, this is incredible. And he comes out, he's just dropping. It was incredible. It was insane. I was with a friend of mine who is a Laotian guy.
Yeah.
And he was breakdancing. And I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened in my life. Actually, it's arguably still one of the coolest things that ever happened in my life. I don't really lead a very interesting life, objectively. There's people that are all over the place, doing cool stuff. I'm like, Zach sucks on his boat. I'm like, I don't know. I'd just go biking, basically.
Jess is
go to
calling me
pool
out.
with
I
my
have to
daughter.
rephrase. I'm like an R&B fan. Like realistically, like that's where I live, and throw in some new school
Okay.
rap. Like that's what I'll listen to. But the R&Bs,
Okay.
late '90s, early 2000s, that's my sweet spot right there.
Mm.
Yeah, I have to sing and get the soul out of me at that point. But
Ooh, well, we need to get on a joint Spotify list then, because
100%, man.
I've got some tracks. I was in a
100%.
freestyle rap group in college called Posse of
No,
Five.
you weren't. You were
Yes.
not. There has to be
Yes.
recordings, man. Come on, tell me.
There's a lot of them, and my current friend, who is the guy who recorded everything, is the director of music at the UN school in New York. And the best rapper of all of us was this guy named Pete. He currently goes by Pan, and he's a monk.
What the hell?
This is real. This is real information.
What the hell?
Yes. It's crazy, right?
Hold on. So if I drop a beat right now, you can freestyle? Like that's
No,
your
I
skill?
won't freestyle
No,
now.
no,
I'm not gonna do. We gotta set up a whole nother stream for that. But yes, I was a freestyler. I'll see if oh my God.
This is so
I
cool.
will see if
This
I
is
can
so cool.
find
This is so
the
cool.
article. There was an article from our school newspaper about how the group formed.
No way.
And it's like hidden deep in the internet somewhere. I have to find it, but it was very entertaining because the group formed obviously because we were inebriated, but that's not what kept us together. All right. And now actually I'm chemical free, have been for many, many, many years, but it was like a 6-hour marathon. And so we did this concerts every Thursday in this concert space in college. And, we had a gig called Grab Bag. We press from our bag and pull it out, rap about it. I used to do an R&B thing that was very inappropriate. I won't get into that.
What inappropriate? Is it the body rolls?
Yeah.
Like bust up.
No. It was inappropriate. Like
oh, you were playing like the after dark version of a game.
Yeah, it was. We'd all start chanting. It was called Clam Chowder. Get a little bit louder, and I'll just stop there with what it was. And so it was good. It was. I mean, actually, objectively, like I went to a school that was a big music school, and so it was actually pretty good. Like the music side of it was pretty on point, and the beats were really good. And so this. Obviously, if I show you a photo,
we need to have like a karaoke night too.
Oh my God, I would murder a karaoke.
We have to. I think we have to.
I would absolutely murder it. I'm just going to show you a photo of the guy that I was in this group with.
Yeah. Okay, can I share my screen? Let me see.
This is him. This doesn't surprise anybody. See? This is the guy. Brendan Golly.
I love that. I love that.
So this is, I mean, like, that was my boy. He lives in Brooklyn. He's still there.
Shout out B, man. Shout out Brandon. That's awesome. That's so great.
There you go. There's a deep cut.
Yeah.
I haven't told a lot of people that.
Okay. Well, you've now told a lot of people on the internet that. So
that's good. I can't wait for the responses.
This is so funny. You know how we kind of like prepped for this? And I was like, yeah, we'll keep it tactical. We'll get into it. And then the level of conversation we took it to took a life of its own. I love it. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing, right? I think all of us have a lot of tactical discussions all the time. We have a lot of tactical, in the founders community, it's the best place for a tactical discussion on performance, DR, and D2C in the world. We have it all the time. It's awesome. And so, MC name, Jess, I was Mr. Lolo. Thank you very much.
Hold on, Mr. Lolo.
Mr. Lolo.
Mr. Lolo.
Yeah, because
Why?
A lot of times I try to
story?
see how low I could get when I was rapping. Like it was like I'd be like,
hold on. I
can't do it very well now because I just went on the background. Yeah. There's pictures. I'd have to go.
Jess, did you have a nickname growing up? I feel like nicknames are a thing, or like some version of that. Like
Jess 100%
has to. It's some ridiculous.
Probably just had 100 nicknames that are amazing and legendary.
Yeah.
But anyway, we talk about tactics all the time, and so like I think that going bigger is what you don't hear about, right? Like we literally started a tactical podcast, Scalability School. It's all about just like the deepest And so it's fun to talk about stuff that's like higher level, because that's where I live a lot with a lot of the quick clients. Jess was the DJ. Obviously, you were a DJ, Jess.
What was the DJ name? What was the DJ name? And while Jess is typing it out, I'm always thinking like this is the human component, like people forget to talk about. Because I think like even to hear your response around teaching a course and like getting someone a job and like helping someone find their passion and what does that mean, like it's so interesting to me to like break stuff like that down. We live in a world that's like kind of the matrix. You got to be able to step out of the matrix sometime and opt back in when you want to in the way that you want to, essentially. So
vinyl tap, dude. That is so sick.
That checks. Hold on. Phil, were you also in a, I feel like Phil, like the swag he has.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he was doing something too, for sure.
So good.
Oh man.
I gotta go to lunch.
I was gonna say this has been a long one. Are there any final words you want to leave with the audience?
No, hit me up. Like, I'm here to help. I'm excited about living life, and like I would say if you are thinking about joining the community, have questions, always let me know. Foxwellfounders.com, you know where to find me. I think that hopefully you can see it's a bigger thing that we're building from this video, and go out there and be kind in the world. That's my big takeaway.
I love it. Mine is I would love to come to the event in October and we get a karaoke night going. I feel like it has to happen now. Like that's
great.
Like
that sounds awesome. Let's kill it. I would love to do that.
Andrew, I appreciate you, man. This was absolutely incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you really soon, man. Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, later. Everybody, I'm so as Andrew figures out how to get out of here, I'm so fired up right now. I'm so fired up. Phil, you're on the show in a bit. You got to talk about the 7 years of full-time touring. What in the hell? Our community's crazy. It's not just slang and ads. It's not just creative strategy. It's not just higher level tactics and marketing. It's like we are people with such interesting stories. Like I love this. It brings me so much happiness. I feel like we all got to go to that next Foxwell retreat, get a karaoke night and talk about all of our individual experiences, because that'll tie it all together. But everyone, this was a fun one. I had a couple people on that I really respect, like Sanjay a little bit earlier, who's someone like I collaborate like pretty frequently with. And then Andrew, our conversation took a life of its own, like you all saw. And we talked about some foundational principles of how you can approach your day-to-day life, not just work, but just life at the same time. So having multifaceted individuals is something that like is super top of mind for me now. And it's almost just like I want to check in on my friends and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know who else is riding that vibe. But everybody, this is what ThumbstopLive is all about. Literally, when we started it, that was my main goal. There's so many people in our community that we're talking about tactics with, but I wanted to be able to give a peek behind the curtain into who these individuals are and how they operate. We can sprinkle in, of course, some tactics along the way, but ultimately what I was hoping for was conversations like this. So people get a peek behind that curtain to humanize these individuals and build real connections. So if anyone's interested in checking us out more, like I've said a million times, we're streaming live every Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. ET, streaming across X, YouTube Live, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Follow us, tap in on @ThumbstopLive on X. That's where we're posting a lot of different pieces to just be able to check out more and more conversations like this, okay? It's happening in real time. You do not want to miss out. But everybody, final words on my end is that I've loved this conversation. I've loved this day so far. I'm fired up. I hope you all are too. But enjoy your weekends. We're going to catch you next week. Okay? Amazing, y'all. We'll talk real soon.